Today we read about Jesus in the gospel after his resurrection. And Cleopas, and I like to say the other guy because we don't have his name, are heading down the road, and I'm sure feeling distraught in what just took place and what they believed had happened, not fully understanding again if they've got word that Jesus' body was not there, then whom would have taken him? And here they're heading down the road, and Jesus meets them along the way and begins to ask these questions. And they treat him as if he's a foreigner, that they don't fully recognize who he is. And so they continue down the road, and the conversation begins. And I'm sure them asking all these questions and wondering what to do next and where do we go from here. I'm sure there was fear and trembling that if we were followers of Jesus, what would they possibly do to us as a result? Because we are those followers as a result of what they did for him, what might happen to us. And they continue. Jesus begins, or they begin to understand him in a way that's a little bit different. And then there's this urgency that he wouldn't continue, but that he would stay with them. I'd like to think that it's probably the greatest Bible study that ever took place was in those moments that he spent with them, revealing the very truth, revealing to them the fulfillment of what would take place, that they would have a greater understanding. And even though the word got into their hearts, they still fully didn't realize that Christ was present. But it was in that very moment of the breaking of the bread, when he took the bread and he broke it, that they began to realize that it says that their eyes were opened and they knew him. It was in that very moment that they realized that they were sitting with the Messiah, that he had risen, that he had had victory over death, that what they feared is not true. But now here he was revealed to them. And it said that their hearts burned within them as a result of meeting with him, that there was something greater going on. And I think for all of us, wherever we're at in that journey of faith, and for those who haven't made that step to believe in that truth, there's a stirring that starts way before that moment, that there's something that begins in our hearts, that we begin to ask those questions, that we begin seeking in a way that we haven't sought before. God is calling to us or drawing near to us, and we're working on trying to draw near to him and have that relationship with him. And he's calling to us. But it's in this moment of the breaking of the bread that he reveals himself to them. And their eyes are open, and now their hearts burn with excitement and joy, and knowing that it is the one who's come, that all that we trusted in, all that we had faith in has come to pass, and that they believed. And they come back to meet the other disciples, probably shouting that the Lord is risen indeed, that it is true, that everything that they put their trust, their hope in was true. And now how would they walk out that relationship with who he is? For us, it takes that moment of faith that we put our hope and trust in the Lord, and we have to be willing to take that step. And as God's calling us, we have to respond to that call and then meet him in that very moment. Maybe when we come to the table today and we're at the Eucharist, that we pause in that moment and we ask the Lord, make us known in the breaking of that bread, that reveal to us who you are in this new way. Help me on my journey with you. Strengthen me in those very moments. And he does, and he will, and he meets us right where we're at. And he's alive to us. That we meet him in a time of prayer, that we meet him in his word that enters our hearts and transforms our hearts, that we can meet him daily, and we're called to meet him daily, that he continues to reveal himself and who he is to us each and every day. Maybe that's our prayer for today, through the day. Lord, continue just to reveal who you are in power, in strength, in the joy of your resurrection. Let us pray.